I peep a lot of shit. I prefer to observe. I'm never following a
youth right there. Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins! Looking for Brooks in the corner. Got it! Touchdown, Alabama!
Me and B-Rob are super close. Lockers right next to each other, so I get to see him. I get to be around him all the time, and then obviously on the field. But B-Rob's someone I've been cool with since I first got here. Someone who's from Tuscaloosa, who has been in the program for a while. And when I first got here, he was someone who was always super cool with me. Someone who was super welcoming when I was just a freshman. That means a lot to me. For him, last year being here as long as he did, he didn't have to, go out of his way to make sure I was good and to look out for me as just a freshman. But he made a priority to do that, and that's always meant a lot for me. Not just in football but in life.
It means everything is so much fun. I have to give those guys a lot of credit because they give me so much energy when I watch them play. Before the game, I swear I always say to myself, I said, your brother's out there with you. Look at Phil, he right there beside you. Look at DJ, he right there beside you. Look at Dallas, he right there beside you. So we straight no matter what. And that kind of gives me a little bit of confidence too.
You're listening to Bama Brigade on the Sports Flash Media Network.
Welcome into our Halloween edition of Bama Brigade on the Sports Flash Media Network. Tweaked the intro a little bit there. Added some
Halloween? Who knew that? Did not know that.
Well, definitely.
Yeah,
I told you guys. That just shows nobody pays attention except for me. But we'll definitely be getting copywritten for that. But I don't care because the intro looks good. Guys, how we doing tonight? Tyler, I'll let you go first.
You mean to tell me it's Halloween?
It is Halloween. So I didn't dress up, obviously, because I'm a loser. Tyler, you got a kangaroo.
Oh, I was just planning on doing the show like this anyway. That's a fun coincidence.
A kangaroo onesie you just thrown on, and then Clack, we got like a little Snow White Seven Dwarfs thing going on.
Okay, anyway, back to football.
I've been holding that. Actually, wait, I think there's a picture here. Let's see if I can pull it up of Clack and Tyler in their Halloween costumes. You can't really see it, but it's Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve, and I'll let you kind of cipher who's who on that one.
Yeah, it's not letting me. Hold on.
Oh, darn. Anyways, before we dive into the football, kind of sticking with the Halloween theme, give me their best Halloween candy.
Skittles.
I'm a Reese's guy. I also
let's go.
I really like Take Fives, like it's like the pretzel with like the peanut butter and caramel.
I'm a big fan of that as well. Like I said, I'm a Reese's guy as well. I agree with you, Tyler. And then I did want to say that we got kind of a scary background here. We got Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien, two guys that anytime Bama's playing make me terrified. Golding a little bit less, but Bill O'Brien for sure.
Joe, I'm surprised because you're like the oddball of this group, and so I'm
surprised.
Whoa,
wait a second.
I mean, if anybody has a outlandish opinion, it's usually you.
Outlandish opinion or oddball? Which one is it? Because I would say that you kind of fall into both categories, and I think
Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, I'm surprised you didn't blurt out something like candy corn. Like, knowing you,
candy corn.
99% of Twitter, like, I hate candy corn, and then you would just tweet, "Oh, candy corn is so great!" Like, I'm genuinely surprised.
Hot take of the show: candy corn ain't that bad.
Candy
it's not
corn,
like amazing, but it's not.
It's not bad, but it's not good.
It's kind of like, I mean, you could compare it to our receivers this year. It's good
it's
occasionally.
Like Florida. If they were a team, it would be Florida.
I think we're giving Florida a little too much credit.
Yeah,
there.
I feel like more people like
that's the
Candy
guy
Corn
who's
than
like,
they do
oh,
Florida
Florida's
this
going to
year.
beat Georgia.
Hey, Clack, slow your roll. All right,
Yeah,
we'll
Florida
get into
can
that.
score on anyone. They can put up
They
points.
scored a
Dude,
whopping
I was
20
right though.
points.
Anthony Richardson had a blistering, I think like 230 yards passing. Like I said,
Hey, can we pump the brakes a little bit before we get
No.
into actual football? You guys will have plenty of time to scold me. I'll have plenty of time to season my crow over here and eat it. You can't really see this either, but I saw this kind of last minute. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Who has the best orange jersey in college football?
Oregon State.
Oregon State. I like Oregon State's jersey. I guess
really liked Tennessee's new jerseys that they had.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Those
that
were
it's not
so
technically like it's black orange type of thing, but I think that was a pretty cool thing that they did.
Oh, the black jerseys were great.
Yeah, no, those were cool. I think Texas definitely is up there. I mean, we're talking about teams too that I can't stand. Texas and Tennessee. Clemson, I want to give a little bit of a nod to Clemson. Once again, teams I completely hate, but I think it's time we get into some fun little news that we got today around lunchtime. I was sitting there eating my lunch and checking Twitter, and I got the notification that Auburn relieved head coach Brian Harsin of his duties after less than 2 years into his 6-year, $30 million contract. He had a 9-12 record overall, 4-11 against Power 5 teams. Is this fair to Harsin? / do you guys think he was the right hire?
I mean, he's won come on, is it fair? I mean, it's not fair. What's his record at Auburn? I mean, come on. He should have been fired 5 games.
I just said it.
I mean, what do you? I mean, I wish they'd keep him for 30 years, but I mean,
right. I think that at the time the hire was kind of confusing. I don't know if this is like retrospect, but like they just really didn't have a lot of people to choose from either. Like they weren't really able to lure any big names, and it seems like that was like a board of directors pick. And I think was it Clack? No. I think it was friend of the show, Sidelines Alabama, who I saw tweet something like Auburn board of directors are always going to want to go for someone that they can kind of bully around.
Yeah, because Sidelines have gone because he was saying he didn't think that they would hire Deion Sanders, and I said that I think they would. And then he said that they'd kind of like to have coaches that are sort of like puppets.
Yeah.
And kind of like you were saying, I was never really a fan of the hire. I didn't really understand why they hired him. But I will say that this is kind of a tough job to have with all those boosters and those people wanting to kind of have their say. It's hard to run a team. But obviously, the losing record this year, losing record last year, which they started off pretty hot last year and they just completely crashed and burned in full Auburn fashion. But I think the losing on the field and then paired with all the stuff that we're familiar with, the drama that occurred during the offseason, just overall wasn't a good look for Harsin. And it kind of leads into my next question. I teased a little bit of it about 30 seconds ago. Who do you guys think they will hire, and who do you guys think they should hire?
Can I pose a question to you real quick?
Yes.
So I saw that whether this is true or not, I saw something that was like, their top pick is Lane Kiffin, right? Which, makes sense. Lane Kiffin's a good coach. My question to you is, maybe I just don't know enough about college football landscape, but is current Auburn really that much of a better job than current Ole Miss to where he would leave what he's built at Ole Miss to take over at Auburn? Because I just don't think it is.
I think what that comes down to is that Lane Kiffin is the master troll. Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin beating Nick Saban is his Super Bowl. That is what he wants to do most out of anything for some reason. I think the fact that he knows he can go to Alabama and go to Auburn and be a constant thorn in Nick Saban's side is something he wants. However, Lane Kiffin wants to be the next coach at Alabama. Anybody knows this,
right?
But it just seems like a lateral move for him to go to Auburn.
That's especially what I'm saying.
He's built up Ole Miss. He has Ole Miss. He's only been there for 2 or 3 years. and they've already done a great job recruiting. I mean, they literally plucked Quinshawn Judkins from like this area that I'm in, which is like 40 minutes from Auburn. They were able to out recruit Auburn and get this kid who's got over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns on the year, running back for them. So I don't think it would make much sense for him to leave a good thing that he has going on at Ole Miss just to go to an absolute complete barn on fire, dumpster fire going on at Auburn. It wouldn't make. I'm sure they'll make a play for him. They'll try and throw a bag of money at him, but I don't really see how it would benefit him because he's in a good situation right now at Ole Miss. They're competitive, like I said, good recruiting, and he's kind of able to do what he's wanted. He doesn't have boosters breathing out his neck.
I mean, it's going to come down. I mean, how much they're willing to pay. What is Ole Miss willing to pay? Ole Miss is going to step up and back the Brink stroke up as well. Because, I mean, there's going to be more than just Auburn that comes calling for Lane Kiffin. Because, I mean, there's Nebraska, Florida State very well could be making a change.
Like, I guess it's just my ignorance of college football. But in all those cases, like Nebraska, Florida State, they're historic or whatever, right? But how much does being historic matter when you're just in a definitive better situation right now? I don't get why so many coaches – like, I could understand if it was, like, from a – like a Sun Belt team to Florida State or something like that. But going from an SEC team that's had like since he's been the coach, it's perpetually been like 2-3 loss team going to like a dumpster fire of a program. Like, why would you leave just to like?
I'm gonna throw a name out there that makes so much sense for multiple reasons, but I don't know if it happens. But Mike Gundy, and I say this because we don't know.
Fighting Gundys.
We don't know what's going to happen to the Big 12. Nobody knows how the Big 12 is on the verge of collapse. Why not take advantage of that and bring Mike Gundy over? I don't think that's what they're going to get. It's Auburn, so it's hard to tell. I think knowing Auburn, they're going to go get some guy from either the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, like Jimmy Chadwell or something like that. I don't think they're going to get a Hugh Freeze. I don't think they're going to get a Deion Sanders. I don't think they're going to get a Lane Kiffin. I just like why. What is so enticing about Auburn over even like these smaller schools like Jackson State and Liberty? Both of those coaches have it made. Who wants to leave what they have now for Auburn? Nobody in their right mind.
This is my argument for Deion Sanders. Okay, yes, he seems to like Jackson State, and he's done a good job there. But if you're Deion Sanders and you're somebody who wants to, I'm assuming he wants to continue getting better at coaching and kind of continue like trending upward. Why would you stay at Jackson State? He already has said in an interview that if a Power 5 team came calling, he'd be stupid not to consider that those calls and those offers from that team. That's why I think from a standpoint, like Auburn just seems like they would want to hire Deion Sanders just because maybe not necessarily the best football coach. Like you might have to do a little work there. It might be a little work. But as far as recruiting, who's going to recruit Alabama and Georgia better than Deion Sanders? I mean, who's going to be able to compete with Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, these other coaches? It's Deion Sanders. And they've already been aggressive. Within 24 hours of hiring a new AD, they just decided they're going to let go of Harsin. So that's what makes me think
they didn't.
Maybe it's desperation and maybe it's just being aggressive. But that's why I think that they're going to go out and they're going to make a hard push for Deion Sanders. They might not land it, but
I totally disagree with that. The last part, they haven't just decided on a whim today to fire Harsin. This has been coming for a few days. The announcement just came out today. I think this was probably made Saturday or Sunday, and which is official today. John Cohen coming in had nothing to do with that.
But I'm saying
I disagree. I feel like that was probably part of the hiring process. I agree. I think that we should move on from.
Regardless, I mean, Brian Harsin was going to be fired no matter what.
But the team reeks of desperation right now. Okay. So for a fan base, it's looking for excitement, looking for somebody that they know. Who's not a better name than Deion Sanders?
I don't know. Deion Sanders, just like to me, I feel like, his team has had an impressive record since he's taken over, but also, like you said, it's because he recruits so well. Like, I mean, you're playing against Jackson State, right? And you're playing in their division. and they have the number 1 player in the class of 2022 on their team.
Almost guarantee that if Deion Sanders goes from Jackson State to Auburn, that Travis Hunter, there's a pretty good shot, will also transfer over with him. So I mean, that's something you have to consider.
Well, I mean, I will say that's the argument for Lane Kiffin as well, right? Is that we're saying, like, why would you throw everything away you built? But you see Lincoln Riley, how many players he was able to take to USC with him. Lane Kiffin will absolutely be able to do the same thing if he wanted, right? Because, like, most of those people, like Judkins, for example, went to Ole Miss because of Lane, so they're not going to, like, not follow him, especially when they have a couple of years left of playing college football.
All right, enough about talking about Auburn. Let's talk about Alabama.
Woo!
So
bye week.
It's a bye week. We won't get into the actual game till our Wednesday.
Our actual game?
Yeah, we won't talk about that till Wednesday.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
I want to talk
about... you're talking about our upcoming game. I thought you were saying we won't talk about our bye week game.
No, our upcoming game. Nick Saban.
Hello, Ryan struggled against the bye game.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's 71st birthday today. A nice little birthday gift by firing. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a birthday gift because Harson's a terrible coach.
Yeah.
So shame on Auburn for doing that. What's your favorite Nick Saban memory?
I love the, like, I'm not going to do it, so quit asking quote was really good. Just like any of the media things about him are so good. And I also love when he talks about, like, his favorite players, right? Like Jalen Hurts, for example. Like, I think that's my favorite thing about Nick Saban is he legitimately cares about everyone. And so every time I'm like, he could be like a, wins first guy, but he also seems like he, like, legitimately wants to better everyone.
Going the same line Tyler did, but I'm going to go the SEC championship against Georgia when Jalen Hurts comes in. He had so much faith in Jalen, no matter what, he still believed in Jalen, still, brought him in without hesitation, and the offense came back and got the win for us. And, he always believes in his guys and gets the best out of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with one that might be a little bit overlooked, as crazy as it sounds, but it's one of the only times I've ever seen Nick Saban just show absolute joy. When Tua had that throw in the national championship, I'm sure we all remember, Tyler, our freshman year, Nick Saban just running around with his hands like this, grinning from ear to ear. So that was my favorite memory. Also, got to give some honorable nods to him chewing out Lane Kiffin. Kind of like Tyler said too, that I'm not going to, so quit asking. And then kind of more recently, the Jimbo Fisher or the Texas A&M recruiting comments, I think were pretty good as well.
You see, back to Lane Kiffin. Did you see what he tweeted? Like, Lane Kiffin has been the staunchest defender of Nick Saban recently.
Am I the only one that loves Lane Kiffin?
I do too. Like, honestly, I can't lie.
As much as you want to fight it, it's just something you kind of have to embrace.
Right. But he tweeted something like, I'm going to need a new, like, costume for Halloween with, like, a broken clown mask. Because I guess.
Yeah, no, because Jimbo, not only did he call out Saban, but he called out Kiffin, basically saying
and called them clowns.
Yeah. And so, I like how Kiffin said that he had to back up his buddy Saban. I think those were not his exact words, but somewhere along his lines, his pal Saban. So part of it's trolling, but I do think Lane Kiffin, I think he's a good coach. And then also I kind of like how he just says what's on his mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Question: how much longer? We're talking about Nick Saban's 71st birthday. How much longer do you guys think Saban has left as a head coach at Bama? I think he finishes out with Alabama. I don't think he ever leaves. I think it'd be silly for him to leave. But how much time does he have left?
Honestly, it's crazy to think of, but I want to say like another 10 years. Like, dude legitimately is one of those people that seems like it's sad to say. Okay, it's gonna sound really bad. Dude might die once he stops coaching football.
It's like Paterno. It's like Joe Paterno. I mean, Saban might be 85 years old, up in the booth, and technically not really coaching. But
yeah,
I mean, and you think he wants to be at home, and you think Miss Terry wants him at home? Hell no.
And also, for all he's done for the school, Alabama can never fire him, right? It doesn't matter how bad he is. He would have to willingly step down. Like, no matter
Oh,
how
yeah,
bad
for
he
sure.
is, I think you could go like 1-10 every season, and it'd still be a bad look firing Nick Saban. I don't know.
Clark, what do you think?
I'd say about 5 to 6 years or so.
Okay. So who?
I don't think he's going to leave unless if I know Nick Saban, he's not going to just leave and leave the program leaving for Andrews. He's going to wait until he knows his replacement is someone who is going to carry the tradition that he carried, or is going to do at least somewhat of a passable job of what he did.
I think if he leaves Alabama, it will not be to go anywhere else. It'll be just him
No,
stepping
not
down,
at all.
basically retiring. We can all agree that he's never going to
I-
go to the NFL, or I mean, there's no college job that would be worth taking for him at his age.
So maybe I got trolled, but I swear I saw someone like talking earlier in the season about like the Wisconsin job being open, and it was a Wisconsin fan, and they were something like, "Oh yeah, we should go after Nick Saban." And they said something like, "Oh, we're a historic school and we're better academically. He would be a fool not to at least consider coming here." And I'm like, I feel like that has to be a troll, but it was one of the funniest things I ever read.
That's a great A troll job. Who do you guys think will replace Saban, or could replace him?
I'm going to go Luke Fickell. I think that would be a great hire.
For like when Nick Saban retires. Honestly, this might be a hot take. I don't think it's anyone that's getting thrown around right now. I think it'll be someone
You take
that,
mine.
someone that'll come to like through it.
Yep, somebody we haven't even heard of, because it's too easy to say Dabo or Kiffin or some of these popular coaches that are a bit on the younger side, but it'll be somebody that we just don't even know their name right now. Some coordinator at Wisconsin who's on the up and D.
And everyone's going to be mad about it too. They're going to be like, "Oh, we could have got Lane Kiffin, we could have got Dabo," and then they're going to have like an okay first season, and then they're going to do pretty good.
I think it would almost be just wrong for one of those guys that is well known to replace Saban. Like, it would make more sense in my mind for it just to be somebody that we have never heard of.
Yeah.
College football recap. Got my crow, put it down here. We'll start with
0 for 2.
Yeah. Well, bold takes, what is it? Fortune favors the bold? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Florida versus Georgia. Georgia won 42-20. I definitely went out on the limb and said that Florida would beat Georgia. I will say that they covered or the spread. What was the spread? It's like 22 or something.
It was a push.
It was a push. Okay. Yeah. No. So I never really thought I didn't have that much confidence in Florida winning, but I came on here and kind of wanted to stir you guys up. Okay, I lied. Maybe I did. I thought Florida would win. I thought Florida's offense would be able to score on Georgia. Now for a little bit, I mean, it was 28-20. It was as close as it got. I had a little bit of hope there, but I underestimated Georgia.
It was kind of wild that throughout the game the score was like 28-3, and then 28-20, and then 20-42. Like, it was so weird. It kind of was like it wasn't close, and then it was close, and all of a sudden it wasn't close, and it all happened so quickly.
Yeah, no, I underestimate Georgia. I've been kind of ever since I watched the Georgia-Missouri game kind of down the wire, and Missouri almost upset Georgia. I've been very down on them. Florida is not a world beater by any means, but I thought Georgia looked good. Stetson Bennett, couple picks, not necessarily a big believer in Stetson Bennett. So that's kind of goes into why I'm not a huge believer in Georgia overall. But they got the job done, and they have a big game this week.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, I'm going to be moving into my new place that day, so hopefully I will be able to catch it.
Just pull it up on YouTube TV.
Yeah, well, because my move-in time is like to 2 p.m., so I should be fine. But I don't know. That's going to be the game of the year if our game wasn't game of the year, like with Tennessee. And I did lowball Anthony Richardson a little bit. He had 270 yards passing. So I said he'd only get 200. He almost, had a third more than that.
He really showed you, Tyler.
He really showed me. I'm being like unnecessarily mean to Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, what's with this Anthony Richardson slander?
I was hoping he would take the step forward because like I'm always in the market for a new QB.
Yeah,
for the Vikings.
Billy Napier was also hoping that he would take a step forward.
Well, and to like Florida's credit, literally first play of the game, Anthony Richardson got rolled up on and was like noticeably slower all game, and that takes out about 50% of Florida's offense. So, like,
maybe honestly, probably more than that.
Right, he's not a pocket passer. He relies on athleticism, like, and the fact that he couldn't take off and run was so painful for them. But
Clark, what did you think about this game?
I mean, I think Georgia showed that they can be beat. Like, there's some games they look like they can't be touched, and then, they should they can be beat. But ultimately, I think it's going to be really tough for Tennessee to beat them. Yeah,
I think Georgia, and then also with the next game we kind of talk about Ohio State, both these teams show that, I mean, they're not perfect. They can be susceptible to making some mistakes. Ohio State at Penn State, the score won't necessarily indicate how close this game was. As much as I wanted Penn State to win, I came on here and said that they would cover the spread. They almost blew that at the end, but they had a good chance going into the fourth quarter to come away with the win in this game. But it was kind of like one of those things that in the back of my head. Am I boring you, Clark?
Go ahead.
One of those things like in the
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you must just talk about
Go ahead, do our show if you have to.
Yeah, no. It was one of those games you're just kind of waiting for Ohio State with all the weapons they have to battle back and win the game. They scored 28 points in the fourth quarter to Penn State's 14. So tough loss for Penn State. I won't rant anymore about this game being at night.
JT Tuimaloa. I actually haven't practiced that one yet.
Yeah,
so
you need to practice that one because usually you're DJ ukulele. You've got.
But
yeah,
one. He had one of the best defensive games I've ever seen from a player in college football. Like he had 2 interceptions. He's a defensive end. He had 2 interceptions, a pick six. Like one of them was a pick six. He had a forced fumble and a fumble recovery and like 3 sacks. Like he was just straight up bullying Penn State all game.
Yeah, he was, and I mean, it didn't help too that Penn State was on their backup offensive tackle, but a lot of those. I mean, Clifford had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then a couple picks, and I kind of feel bad for him because the one of the interceptions that, or maybe a couple of them, honestly, that Tuimaloa had was literally just the offensive tackle getting pushed over, and then him putting his hands up and catching the ball. Like as a quarterback, you can't really do much about it. I mean, you can throw it a little bit higher, maybe lollipop the ball, but if your offensive lineman's getting just pushed into the dirt almost every single play, kind of makes it easier for the defensive lineman to make a play on the ball. But props to him. I mean, this is a guy that was the number 1 player, I think, of the 2020 class, 24/7 Sports composite ranking. So, I mean, this is a guy in Ohio State has a reputation with Larry Johnson of just year after year getting these defensive linemen. I mean, we saw with the Bosa's, we saw with Chase Young. They just find a way to get these premier edge rushers on their team.
Yeah.
Clock, what did you think about this game? I know you're a Penn State hater.
I don't hate that. I think the whole Big Ten itself is overrated, and I think.
Well, it's crazy that the Big Ten's overrated, and then we've got 2 teams in the playoff right now in the top 4.
Let's see. Let's compare them to. Let's see how they do against SEC teams. I think Ohio State loses 2 to 3 games in the SEC. Same with Michigan. We saw last year what happened when the Big Ten meets the SEC. It doesn't go over well. We saw it the year before. It doesn't go over well. Oh, we saw it the year before that too.
When Ohio State.
3 years in a row of the Big Ten getting crushed when they play superior competition. So
the Big Ten's not great, or they wouldn't do well in the SEC because those are 2 different things.
I'm saying the Big Ten, don't let the fact that Ohio State is number 2 in the country fool you, because as soon as they get to a team with a pulse, Penn State almost exposed it. They're going to get beat. And the same with Michigan. Michigan makes the playoffs, they go up against a Georgia or Tennessee, they're going to get destroyed. Ohio State goes up against a Georgia, Tennessee, Bama, they're going to lose.
I'm not so sure about that, but time will tell on that one.
I mean, it happened last year, it happened the year before that, it happened the year before that. It's happened 5-10 times in the last 10 years. The Big Ten always gets exposed. Anyway, thoughts on the game. Ohio State seems to always be the team that finds a way to get it done. I think they're going to coast into that matchup with Michigan undefeated.
Ohio State, as much as, I hate them and despise them as a Penn State fan and as an Alabama fan, they're my pick right now to win the national championship. That with the amount of weapons they have, Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't even play, and it didn't matter because Marvin Harrison had like 180 yards receiving. Yep. They just have so many weapons. They're usually pretty good running the ball. Penn State made it a point to stop the run, but Travion Henderson, Miles Williams, they have so many weapons on offense. Their defense right now is statistically one of the best in the country. Amazing defensive line. You'd be hard pressed to find a better team from top to bottom, talent wise. I do have some questions about Stroud. He's a little bit inconsistent, but I think right now, there's an easy argument to be made that they're the best team in the country.
To be fair, any team that plays Iowa and Michigan State will have a boost to their defense statistically. So.
Georgia, any team that plays, who's Georgia play? Vanderbilt, Kent State. I
100% agree with that too.
I think the arguments that Ohio State doesn't play anybody. A lot of these premier top 5 teams in the country, they all play their cupcake shared games because you can't play. We've played an all-conference schedule before, but
let's talk about the fact that that was the second time they played outside of Columbus all season, and we're going into the 10th game of the season. That's a little ridiculous. Look at their schedule. Their schedule is not that difficult. Bama's already played at Texas, at Arkansas, at Tennessee. I'm just saying,
lost at Tennessee.
But what I'm saying
almost lost at Texas.
You have
Auburn badge. We almost beat Alabama. Matters for the same amount.
No, I'm just saying, you can't just be SEC. You can't have SEC.
Here's the thing.
Goggles all the time.
Here's the problem. Yes, Ohio State is a great team. I'm not saying they're not, but who knows what you really have when you're well rested and ready to go every single week. But your teams like Bama, SEC West teams, let's just put it that way. SEC West teams, you're traveling either other week, you're playing physical teams on both sides of the ball, you're going to get worn down, you're going to lose a game. Ohio State, they're at home every week against Cupcake.
So what's your argument? Are you arguing that the team is bad? Or are you arguing that their schedule, which is made years in advance?
I'm saying you can't put any stock into Ohio State right now. You can't.
I don't understand how you can't put stock into Ohio State. They're clearly one of the top teams in the country. You're a fool if you think otherwise. You might hate the Big Ten.
Are they a top 5 team? Yes. That's as stupid to say they're not. But
you're bringing up factors that don't have anything to do with their team. You could, I guess, say that these schedules are made years in advance, Clark. So the fact that they're playing a lot of games at home, what are you going to do at home? Are they supposed to lose because they're playing at home?
At the same time, what is you're acting like they're like the best team in the country.
I'm not, but I'm saying you can't just be like SEC.
No, but to be fair to what Clark was saying, you pointed out Bama lost at Tennessee. Bama almost lost at Texas. If Ohio State's played 2 away games all year, they don't even have the opportunity to almost lose away because they just don't play the game.
Their biggest away game is Michigan State, who is 2 wins, 3 wins this year, or 2 wins this year. It is absolutely horrible. Here's what I'm saying. Let me finish. If you're playing at Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas, at Ole Miss, at LSU, no team in the country is going to win all 5 of those games. You're going to drop at least one of those.
That's true. And I think
you're going to struggle in others because you're tired, you're beat up. When you don't play anybody, it's easy to be like that.
That's true. I think if Alabama wins out and they win the SEC championship, that'll be something that helps them too, because off the top of my head, I can't think of any other teams that have had to go into all those tough environments. So I do see what you're saying there, but I'd like to say overall that both conferences, SEC and Big Ten, have bad teams. Ohio State hasn't necessarily been battle tested yet, but I think they are a top 5 team. We can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
And
Just like
I mean,
Ohio
all
State,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, just based on their roster, they're gonna be a top 5 team pretty much no matter what. Like they have insane talent everywhere.
But this is why I agree with Joe on expansion, because you're going to get a bigger sample size, and you're going to have to play those teams. Like, right now Ohio State would be matched up with like the Pac-12 champion. You're going to have to play those teams. You're going to have to prove, your worth. It's not just 4 teams get in there and then whoever shouldn't be in there gets exposed. You're going to have to earn your way to the Final Four.
We're going to hold that thought right now. We're going to finish up with the last 3 games we have here. Clack, what happened to the Fighting Gundies? They got blanked 48-0 against Kansas State. That was pretty brutal. I know I picked Oklahoma State to win. I don't remember who you guys picked.
We all picked Oklahoma State.
Everyone picked Oklahoma State.
I think most of the country probably picked them to win. Kansas State had a backup quarterback that came in and tossed 3 touchdowns. Nobody's expecting that. And then Ole Miss beat A&M, had some halftime adjustments. They were down at halftime to A&M, but
let me
A&M's program's in disarray.
Joe, Tyler, I want to ask you a question real quick on this one. If A&M misses a bowl or barely squeaks in a bowl, does the A&M department bite the bullet?
I think at this point they do it regardless.
I don't think there's anything he can do.
The Cheese and Crackers Bowl against
the Cheez-It Bowl, the Bad Boy Mowers,
the Bad Boy Mowers Club Bowl or something like that's just not. I know it kind of goes against what I was saying earlier about like history and whatever. That's just not the A&M standard of football. They should be better, especially with the number 1 or number 2 recruiting class. I can't remember if they ended up above us or not.
Well, I'm heartbreaking that Auburn won't be playing in the Birmingham Bowl this year. Not the Cheez-It Bowl, but the Birmingham Bowl. Sorry, it's really just tragic.
Did you guys see? Apparently, Connor Weigman, Texas A&M's quarterback, got hit real hard in the head and was getting talked to by trainers, and Jimbo Fisher pulled him all away from the trainers and sent him back out on the field.
Get back out there, son. No, I didn't actually get the chance to watch. I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't watching this game, but I did see that he had a really nice game for them.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick, Kentucky looked horrible against Tennessee. I thought Tennessee and Georgia would both be kind of caught looking ahead to next week, or looking ahead to this week with their matchup against each other, but I was dead wrong on that one too. So pile on the crow for that one. TCU beat West Virginia, continuing to make their case for a potential playoff bid. And
real quick, can we go back to the Kentucky game? I had something I had to say.
I mean, I got nowhere else to be, and we're an early show tonight. So
I predicted, right? I thought that for sure this would be the game in which
Will Levis.
Thank you.
So did I.
I thought for sure Will Levis would show out, right, and be establish himself as the number 3 quarterback in the draft class. Now I'm questioning if he's even worth a second round pick.
Top 5 quarterback.
Well, I totally agree. I think we overvaluated Will Levis. But here's my question. At this point, you look at based on this last week, Jalen Hyatt is a Heisman contender. I mean, the man has 14 touchdowns. He's breaking Tennessee records. He's been impossible to cover. He's not having a season as good as Smitty had, but he's having a very good season. Obviously, Hendon Hooker's leading the Heisman race now without question.
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from Hyatt, but I think his numbers are just so inflated. I mean, he had 5 touchdowns against Alabama. I mean, how many touchdowns did he have on the year? You said 13? Well, he's having a phenomenal year, but I mean, you could probably clip this years from now. Maybe I'll be dead wrong. But I just feel like this is a guy that be a 3rd or 4th round pick or something. And I mean,
you got to be Hendon Hooker though is having the season of a lifetime.
Yeah, I think Hooker is going to win the Heisman. I think that's for sure. But
Hendon Hooker, he's 25.
Yeah, he's literally our age.
No, he's 2 years older than me.
How old is he? I think he's 24.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of the
Either
way
way,
I
he's
look.
older than me.
He's 24. Yeah.
Okay,
He
well, yeah,
turns
I graduated
25
college
in
2 years ago, and he is over a year older than me, which is like, it's still impressive what he's doing, but also like he's playing against kids that are 7 years younger than him. I think it's kind of wild that.
Well, it reminds me of Kenny Pickett last year.
Yeah,
Who
where
had
it's
been
just like he had
Pitt
so
for
many years to learn.
16 years. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, Hendon Hooker is the favorite to win the Heisman now.
Yeah,
I think he will win the Heisman. It only took him 2 schools and 6 years to do it. But did you guys even know that Hendon Hooker went to Virginia Tech and he was absolutely horrible at Virginia Tech?
I did not know that actually.
Yeah, no, he was terrible. But I'm not going to sit here and hate on him because he's having a great year. And kudos to Tennessee. Arkansas beat Auburn. Pitt beat UNC beat Pitt 42-24.
They were losing a lot of the game.
Yeah, they were. Drake May, Heisman sleeper.
Drake May what?
Drake May, 5 touchdowns. He's got like 29 touchdowns and 3 picks on the year. Don't think he'll be able to catch Hooker. I don't think anybody will be able to catch Hendon Hooker, but he's having a great year. And then UCLA beat Stanford 38-13. So moving away from that, and kind of somebody brought it up earlier. I think it was Clack. Kind of started to talk about the playoff picture. I don't know if you guys have had a chance. I'm sure you have by now to check out the AP Top 25 rankings, which are important for about a day and a half because tomorrow night is when the first official rankings come out. Do you guys think, how different do you think the AP rankings will be from the actual rankings?
I honestly think Tennessee will probably be number 1.
I agree.
In the playoff rankings.
Yeah, because right now, I've never seen this before. You've got Georgia at 1, and then you've got Tennessee and Ohio State tied for 2. And then you've got Michigan at 4, Clemson at 5, Bama at 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and 10 are TCU, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. So
I would go right
definitely a year not to be slandering the Pac-12 when they've got 3 teams in the top 10.
I hate to say it, but they play other Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Say that again.
I said not to the Pac-12 has 3 teams in the top 10, but they just play other Pac-12 teams to get easy wins. They're definitely good teams, but you look at Oregon, for example. I know it's week 1, right? Can't take away from week 1, but they played one SEC team and just got
dismantled,
absolutely slaughtered. Yeah. So I don't know.
My top 4 be Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan.
Yeah, I think that's actually what I go to as well. And then the question is, right? If Georgia loses, do they drop out of the top 4? If Tennessee loses, do they go? What do they go to? 4?
Who do we want to win? Is it better for us if Georgia wins or Tennessee wins?
I think Tennessee, because then we just get the rematch, and then
and then our only loss will be
to Tennessee that we avenge. Because if Tennessee
we have
loses,
to win out, obviously.
Right. And I'll preface this by saying I'm of the camp that if we win out, literally it doesn't matter. We will be at least 4. But I think the one case that brings any question is if Tennessee loses and then we beat Georgia and we go oh yeah, we beat Georgia, but they beat Tennessee who beat Alabama, and then it's this weird rock, paper, scissors thing.
So do you think that TCU has a chance if they went out to take that 4 spot?
Not over the SEC champion, no.
I think there's a path for Alabama, but I think it gets a little bit questionable for sure. If, like you said, if Georgia beats Tennessee and then we beat Georgia.
If Bama does not lose the rest of the year, there is no question. Literally, there can't be.
But I mean, there's definitely an argument to expand the playoff. I think when does the playoff expansion start? 2024?
2025.
2025. I think this is kind of a case because, I mean, you could have a TCU Big 12 champion, and then, I mean, even maybe let's just say one of these Pac-12 teams with 1 loss wins out. kind of stinks. I mean, because obviously Alabama is going to get the nod. I mean, knock on wood, this will be the year they don't get it. But is going to get the nod over a couple of these other teams that are lesser known, like a TCU who haven't been in the playoff yet and aren't in a conference that really gets much respect.
Yeah.
That's, I believe. So we can all come to the consensus that Bama's going to make it.
If we win out. Yeah.
If we win out. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get into the LSU game more on Wednesday. But thank you, everybody who tuned in to our Halloween edition of the Bama Brigade and the Sports Flash Media Network. And we will see y'all again on Wednesday.
Just in case. I peep a lot of shit. I prefer